I'm starting recording now, and yeah, everything is working. So, hello, welcome to the first recorded session of the Cymera role-playing game Strand. So we're going to be making some characters today for Adventurers on a Dime with the second group of author players for this awesome festival. We're going to be introducing ourselves, promoting our work, we're going to be talking about our role-playing experience, then we're going to make some Adventure on a Dime characters, and discuss what our wonderful adventurers think the Golden Pillar is in the adventure of the Black Road and the Golden Pillar. So, I'm Brian Tyrrell. I run Dungeons on a Dime. My pronouns are he, him. And if you've ever seen Dungeons on a Dime, anything on social media, anything you've enjoyed, it's a one-man band. I've made it. And if you've seen anything you haven't liked, it wasn't me. I'm blaming someone else. So we'll start off with our cool authors. The first of all is Mike Brooks. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Mike Brooks, as has been mentioned. I'm a science fiction and fantasy author. I've written 3 of my own space opera novels called the Geico series. I also write for Games Workshop. My most recent novel for them was called Road to Redemption, which is probably going to be appearing as some sort of rolling advert, hopefully.
Hopefully.
By the magic of the internet. Coming up, I've got another Games Workshop novel called Brutal Cunning, which is the first one that they've done from the point of view of an orc. And later on this year, I've got my own epic fantasy debut called The Black Coast, which is coming out from Orbit and Rebellion Publishing. I have never played an RPG like this before.
And that is totally cool.
You say that now.
So, next to introduce themselves, Caroline.
Hi, I am Caroline Logan. I am a writer and a biology teacher as well.
Awesome.
So I have my first book out. My first book came out last October. It's called The Stone of Destiny. It's a YA fantasy novel. And the second book, which is a sequel in a series of 4, is out this October, and I've actually just finished it. And they're both being published by Cranachan, which is a really small indie publishing group that are based on the Isle of Lewis, and they're really cool. And I have quite a lot of experience with role playing. I actually play at the moment every Saturday for 6 hours.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. For that, I had a kind of bit of time off. When I was at university, I was part of the Glasgow University Gaming Society, so I used to play Dungeons and Dragons then.
That is really cool. So we've got like brand new and then lots of experience. I also see you've got tons of really cool board games behind you as well, so very diverse experience. Yeah. And last but very much not least, Lizzy, could you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Priest, she, her, and I'm the author of the young adult fantasy series, the Droughtspawn series, which came out either last year or the year before, but time has no meaning, I can't remember. And Cymera was going to launch my 4th in the series, and obviously that's delayed, so it's coming out later this year, but that's going to be fun. The first 3 on the advert thing. And my experience with role-playing games is vast and varied, and I'm currently playing on and off. And yeah, I have played a lot of D&D. I joined the Sussex uni role-playing thing, but I went to Chichester uni. They didn't have one, so I went to the next uni over to do their role-playing games. That's how nerdy I was about it.
Fantastic. Well, we have got all sorts of cool people. One thing I forgot to actually put on the agenda, but I'm going to bring up now, are safety mechanisms that we'll be using while we play and while we are on stream together. So the first of all is the X card. We've talked about this before on our pre-stream little chat, but the X card is if the story is going in a direction that you're not comfortable with, or something's happening to your character that you want to walk back on, you just do a little X and say, hey, that's not cool, hang on, let's talk about this. And that's for things that might be really distressing or just making you really uncomfortable as a player. So, for example, some of us here are teachers and like to work with kids, So we're avoiding any kind of explicit content as one example of things that could make us uncomfortable. That brings us on to the next safety mechanism, which are our lines. These are, surprisingly enough, lines that we don't want to cross, and these are some things we talked about on our pre-stream and that we're going to repeat here as well. So that were themes about, say, explicit content. And another one we had was explicit language. So some very rude words, though we are allowed with some soft ones like damn and God and stuff like that. And the last one we had was space. Not big fans of space, big fans of fantasy here. So those are some lines we weren't going to cross on stream. Were there any others that any of you thought of, or are we all happy to go?
That works for me.
Absolutely perfect. So I'm just going to take these down. So we've got introductions done. We've promoted our stuff. We've talked about our experience. Now we're going to have a look at Adventurers on a Dime. Adventurers on a Dime is a system that I wrote. It's from, surprisingly, Dungeons on a Dime. Here we are. And it is a 4 or 5 page system with some simple rules that help you understand role-playing as a hobby and also a specific form of role-playing, which is Adventurers on a Dime. Role-playing can be played with any kind of tool. It can be, card game, it could be rolling dice, it could be just telling stories around a fire. But Adventurers on a Dime teaches a lot of the basics that are common across a lot of dice rolling role-playing games. So in this system, you're going to be playing adventurers. And adventurers have 3 key statistics: cunning, vigor, and willpower. These are the words that sum up who your character is and how good they are at different things. You can use these statistics to do anything you want. When you come into conflict in the story, you use one of these statistics to see how well you do at resolving that conflict. So the first of the stats, cunning, is all about intelligence and being sly. As you can see here, it's about being aware of your surroundings, thinking quickly on your feet, and effortlessly recalling information. Vigor is the second stat, and it's all about enduring any adversity. It's about running long distances, holding your own in a fight, and working diligently and considerately at a task. Willpower is all about having confidence to face any kind of threat you might come across. These kind of people are passionate speakers, they're inspiring leaders, and they're fearless heroes. Depending on how good a person is with any particular skill or stat, they have a die that they roll for that stat. The better they are, the higher the number of sides that die has, or the bigger that die will be. So for example, a very cunning person, a devious person, could roll a d12 when resolving problems using cunning, while someone who is very frail, who has a very low vigor, would be rolling a d4. So we're going to be using this kind of system of the size of die to make ourselves our characters. When you're making an adventurer, you can only have up to a maximum of 24 sides of dice. So you could have 3 skills or abilities that are d8s, so 8, 16, 24. You could have, for example, 1 that is a d12, and then 2 that are d6s, so 12, and then 2 6s is 24, or any other combination you wanted to go for. And each of these statistics comes with a fun keyword that helps you understand your character and what their strengths and weaknesses are as well. So example, cunning, d12, devious. We're also going to be rolling up some jobs for you guys as well. So jobs are a way of expressing an adventurer's expertise in a situation, as well as some peripheral kind of skills they've gained and any kind of flaws they might have developed while running in this role. So you guys can be making up any job that you like, and then we're going to be summarizing it with 3 broad skills that you've learned from that job. You're also going to be getting a trait, which is an attitude, opinion, quality, or perk that you've gained on that job, and a flaw, which is a weakness you've developed on that job. And as we see, we bring our flaws forward with us from jobs, we bring our traits forward, so the more jobs you get, the more skills you earn, the more traits you have, and the more flaws you have. These are nice, fun role-playing niches. But why do we have jobs, skills, traits, and flaws? We use those to roll the dice in a more interesting way. When you're making an ability roll, that's to resolve conflict in a story. You're trying to roll the die and get 4 or higher. If you roll the highest number on your die, that's like a critical success. You do the best that you could do and exceed your own expectations. If you roll a 4 or more, then you're successful. You resolve the conflict and you get to move forward in the story in the direction that you wanted. If you roll a 2 or a 3, you successfully resolve the conflict, but there's a complication that comes into the story that changes things and makes the situation more perilous. And if you roll a 1, that might be called a critical fail. Hijinks ensue, things go chaotically wrong, and the story takes an interesting turn. Maybe for the worse, maybe for the better, we'll have to see. You can roll the dice once when you're making an ability check, because everyone's quite capable of doing a lot of different skills. However, if you have a job that gives you a skill that could be relevant to a situation, you can tag that skill. For example, Robin Hood is a thief. So one of his skills is breaking into castles. He's trying to scale a wall to get into a castle. He tags a go, I'm really good at breaking into castles. So when he's making a Vigor roll to climb the wall, he can roll that dice with what's called advantage. He rolls the dice twice, and he takes the better result. So that's why we have skills. It's to make sure that you get advantages when you're trying to do complicated things that your character will be really good at. Equally, your trait is something I can throw in there and say, hey, you're quite a savvy person, so Robin Hood might be savvy. I'd say when he's trying to trick a guard, he'd actually have advantage because he'd be really good at, manipulating people and being quick on his feet. While maybe if he's going through the treasury and he's trying to climb out the window, his flaw might be addicted to stealing things. I'd say he had disadvantage. He might be trying to actually stay in the room longer and take more gold as opposed to running away and not being seen by the guards. Disadvantage is something you can get from your flaws. Disadvantage means you roll the dice twice and you take the worst result, the lower the result, which means the story, you might not get total control of what's happening, and it might make the story more interesting as you fight against your character's flaws. So, that's Adventures on a Dime at a very basic level. There are some extra rules as well, which you guys have read before, and when we get to them, I'll explain them on our main live stream. But we're going to start with a little bit of context for the adventure that you're going to be playing, and then we're going to start with making characters. So, I'm going to go back to my note-taking app. You guys are playing an adventurer called the Black Road and the Golden Pillar. The Black Road is a long stretch of river that winds through the swampy rainforest, and at its end is the fabled Golden Pillar. No one has ever seen the Golden Pillar and knows quite what it is, but you have heard rumours that it is some kind of great treasure. And we're going to talk about what kind of rumours you've heard after we make our characters. You three are, we'll say, stowaways on a steamboat making its way up the river. A group of wealthy adventurers have chartered a boat, its crew, and all of its stores to make their way up this river to find this ancient ruin the Golden Pillar is in. And you've taken the opportunity to stow yourselves away in a crate and get to the ruins well rested while the crew are sleeping and steal the treasure before anyone else can find you. You'll then hike your way back through the rainforest with pockets full of gold and live nice high lives. So as you're making your characters, you'll be considering what job they have that could bring some interesting skills to your stowaway crew, as well as maybe delving into possibly a dungeon or whatever kind of strange location this Golden Pillar is held in. So let's start with Mike's character. We have a fun character sheet here for Adventures on a Dime. So Mike, what is the name of your character?
I was not quite sure exactly what route to take on this, and it's possible that I've gone a little bit weird. So my character is called Nana Grunswick.
Nana Grunswick.
Yep.
Hopefully spelled vaguely correctly. We can change that.
It happens.
So, Nana Grunswick. What kind of person is Nana Grunswick? Does she go by Grunswick, by Nana, or by both?
Usually Nana.
Mhm. And what kind of person is she like?
She's an older person, but not very old, not really old.
Mhm.
I had this vague idea that she maybe had some children, got bored, and decided to go adventuring.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Reminds me of a cool article I read about like a grandma with like 6 degrees. And they asked her, how do you have so many degrees and PhDs? And she said, well, I've had 7 kids. You know, once you've had 7 kids, anything's easy. I am really liking Nana Grunswick. So, of the 3 traits, cunning, vigor, and willpower, what do you think is Nana's strength?
Cunning. She's a D10.
Ooh, she is a D10. Perfect. So, the word for that is in the rules, which I have on my computer, which I'm going to open up. And that word is not me at all going for time. She's sly. So, if you know that she's a 10 for being her cunning, do you know her vigor and her willpower as well?
Yes, she's a D6 for vigor because she's healthy, but not, fighting fit.
Mm-hmm.
And willpower is your standard D8.
Perfect.
Confident, I believe it is.
Competent.
Confident or competent?
Oh, confident. Yes. No, competent is the sly one. Awesome. That is a really nice little phrasing of the character. So, what would you say Nana's job title is? What kind of role has she played most of her life?
She was a cook.
Cook. Perfect. Cook after cash. Awesome. So, as a cook, she'll have 3 broad skills, and these skills can be phrased in any way that you like. So you could say that she's good at preparing meals. You could say that she's really good at hoisting really heavy materials around and cooking things. You could say that she's really good at bargaining. What skills do you think Nana has?
Well, certainly preparing good, nourishing food was definitely one. And in terms of I guess phrasing it in a way that might be relevant to what we're going to be doing, I was thinking she'd probably be pretty good at identifying poisons and stuff like that. Making sure stuff's healthy.
I'll make it one step broader. I'll say identifying plants.
Yep.
Maybe she's lived near the rainforest all her life, or sourced some interesting ingredients from there, which is why she's adventuring up the Black Road. She already knows the general land, so she's good at identifying plants. Okay.
I wasn't quite sure what to go with for the third one. I'm open to suggestions on that.
Carolyn, Lizzy, have you got any cool ideas?
Cooks are usually very good at managing large kitchens. Did you have like a staff? Or was it just you?
Probably. No, I was wondering about something like whether or not she picked up various languages from working and cooking with various people. So being good at languages might be something.
That could be really good. Caroline, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just thinking if she's had children or grandchildren, maybe she's depicted it as like inspiring other people and kind of keeping them going.
So she could be good at speaking to different people, like speaking languages. Yeah. She could be good at inspiring. If she's more of a stern Nana Grunswick, maybe she's good at commanding people.
That's good in running the kitchen too.
That could make for a good trait. She has a commanding presence.
That would certainly fit with the mental image of her. I just wasn't sure of how well that would go with the fact that her willpower was only average.
Well, it's not average. A D8 is good, solid adventuring material. So I'd say that, and I'd say like the average adventurer is always really competent at what they're doing. So she's confident as a person, so I'd say she can have a commanding presence. She's got a good ability to kind of lay it down. Now, if you were trying to tell a giant to not grind her bones up for bread, maybe she'd have a little bit of trouble, but speaking to the average boy in the kitchen, I think she'd have the handle of it. So yeah.
Okay, so we'll go with commanding presence for that.
So would that be for her trait or for her third skill?
Maybe that would be her trait, and her skill would be knowing at least some of various languages.
So we'll put down speaking languages. For your skill. And for your trait, something I've taken from this job is that I have a commanding presence. Now I'll clean this up before I send it over because I've got big man handwriting. So what kind of flaw does Nana Grunswick have?
Well, I'm kind of going with life here and saying that she's partially deaf because I'm partially deaf, and that will make me. when I'm going, what? That will make it a lot easier.
Perfect. It's just really good role playing. It's inspired.
Yeah. It's not the fact that I can't hear you all the time.
So yeah. So I'd say like Nana Grunswick has just been in the kitchen too long. There's always been loud noises, and it's just deafened her ears over time. So partially deaf. Spelling. Perfect. Okay. So, in Adventures on a Time, you also get standard gear and equipment, and we can figure out that information after the stream, but it'll be kind of what you kind of take along with you, what materials you have, and anything you have for the journey. We can figure that out afterwards. So, the next character we're making is Caroline's. So Caroline, have you got a name for your character?
So I was thinking that she's got a German background. Her name is Millie Schreiber.
Ooh, I have no idea how to spell that.
I don't mind for Millie, but I'll help you spell Schreiber if you like. So it's S-C.
Oh, Schreiber. Yes, cool. Yep.
Schreiber.
Like this?
S-C-H-E-I-B-R. No, S-C-H-R.
E-I-E-R.
Why don't you type it to me and I'll write it down? Well, I'll put a question mark and I will. Okay. So is it Schneider? Schreiber. Cool.
German for writing.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to be clever.
I did German at high school. For some reason my principal thought that German was more useful than French for half of the year group. Don't ask me why.
Maybe they only had hopes for half of the year group. They're like, the rest of you can learn French at lost causes. Oh, so Millie Schreiber, that I will spell correctly at a later date. So, what kind of person is Millie?
She is in her early 20s. She's kind of had a little bit of a I don't know. Her upbringing's been pretty good. She's kind of did anything. And she is a mountaineer, or she's kind of aspiring to be one. But unfortunately, her family have run out of money. So she is looking for some treasure maybe to try and fund her adventures in the future.
That is really cool. I like that idea that she's come from like a rich education and money, and she's I'm gonna be a mountaineer, and then her parents are like, nah, you're not. You're gonna be married off, or you're gonna be a maid or something. Cool. So, what is Millie's most distinguishing characteristic?
I guess her most she's kind of she has like a lot of moxie. She's like up for things and is willing to kind of give it a go, but she's really naive.
Okay, so that sounds like willpower is going to be her biggest score, and cunning, maybe not. Okay, so would you say that she is for her? Oh no, if she's got a lot of moxie, then I'd say she's quite charismatic.
She's the sort of person that you would really like if you met her, but also you would kind of roll your eyes at her quite a bit.
So maybe she is. She's got a heroic level of willpower. She'll face any odd, and that means she's got a D12, which is very exciting. But maybe she's quite foolish, so she's got a D4 for cunning, like the complete opposite scale. Okay. And that means that your vigor would be a D6, so you would be healthy.
I think she's trying to be a mountaineer, so she's I would say she's pretty. Is it 24 is our limit?
20. Oh yes, math. So that would be a D8, wouldn't it? Perfect. See, this is why I like streaming, because other people can do math when I can't. So you're actually fit. You are very healthy.
I think she's going to be a mountaineer, so that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. So she's foolish. See, I can't spell and I can't do math, so I guess the only thing I've got is my ability to tell stories. She's foolish, she's fit, and she's heroic. And she is an aspiring mountaineer, which I think is a really cool job title. So what sort of skills has she developed in her trying to be a mountaineer?
So I think that she will have kind of learned to kind of charm people because in this sort of time period that we are talking about, I was doing a little bit of research. Quite a lot of countries that were maybe closed off to mountaineers, so maybe quite like charming. She's managed to kind of slip past borders.
Oh, very nice. So we were thinking of, for the Black Road and the Golden Pillar, going for a vaguely 1900s inspired exploration in a steamboat, possibly with magic, possibly with some other world building. We'll figure it out. But the main focus of the story is getting on this ship, going up the river, and stealing some gold. But I like the idea of charming people as a skill. So maybe kind of leaning into that sort of doe-eyed, like, oh, I'm only just a little mountaineer looking to explore the world. Please don't get me in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just endearingly like, I'm going to climb that mountain. And they're like, oh, you're so passionate, I've got to let you through. Oh, I love it. Okay. So what would your second skill be?
I guess it would be kind of like enduring adversity.
Okay. So how might we phrase that? Working really hard, working long hours?
Yeah.
Cool. And what kind of third skill do you think that Millie has?
She's just really athletic, I think.
Okay. So she's learned how to. It doesn't have to.
She must be good at climbing stuff.
Skills don't have to be phrased in these sentences. It's just a nice way of prompting people if they are coming a bit stuck. But yeah, we'll say like athleticism.
Yeah.
So you're very good at climbing, running. You're very hale, or as the word might be, fit. So what kind of trait, what kind of good positive quality have you taken away from your aspiring career to climb mountains?
Never giving up.
Never giving up.
The urge to somehow start playing Rick Astley is.
Well, I mean, that is a really good other quality, is that maybe Millie's flaw is that they never let anyone down, and they can't let anyone down.
Run us around.
Good at athletics, you know.
Yeah. They'll never desert you. You'll be in this ruin, there'll be a collapse, and then Millie will be the one to sacrifice herself to make sure everyone's safe. Okay. But on the note of flaw, what do you think Millie's flaw is? Like she's very foolish. But what other kind of flaws might she have?
She probably is a bit of a commitment phobe with life in general. She just wants to be away doing adventures.
Yeah. So anything that could take her away from that, or anything that might... Oh, that's why she's afraid of commitment, because she's thinking, oh, if I do this, I might not get to go climb mountains. Yeah. So unless she can see it directly being like, me, mountain, it's going to be a no. So it has made me non-committal. Perfect. So we have got Millie Schreiber, who is foolish, fit, and heroic. Wants to climb mountains, but is scared that her actions won't actually get her there. And needs some treasure to fill the family coffers and get her some climbing gear. Perfect. So, our third character is from Lizzy. So Lizzy, what was the name of your character?
I think I'm going with Constance Sharp.
Constance Sharp.
I'm still workshopping it, but we're here, so...
Perfect.
Constance Sharp.
Constance Sharp. Well, it's
With an E.
one of Constance's aliases.
Yes.
So what kind of person is Constance?
Well, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about all the stunt reporters from this kind of era who go get a big scoop by doing something really ridiculous.
Ooh.
So I'm thinking that she's along to write this up and make the headlines, report back what she's doing.
Ooh.
And if she goes along the way, that just funds the next adventure.
So she's sort of like a stunt performer. She's going out there and getting the coolest jobs. Cool.
Yeah. This kind of thing when she smuggles herself away sounds perfect. She's just like, there's a smuggling onto this treasure hunt spot. I'm taking that. I'm writing this up. It's going to be amazing.
Fantastic. So you're a reporter. I think she sounds like a quite cunning character. Does Constance?
Yes. Main. I was thinking not D12. That's maybe too much.
Well, a cunning character is devious. I think that could be quite fun. Where, and then maybe you could have a D6 or two. You could have two D6s or a D4 and a D8. So you could be devious, healthy, and present. So you're very conniving and fickle. You could be devious, fit, and fearful. So you're always making sure that you're reporting and not being reported on. You know, like a local stuntwoman dies in ancient Terra tomb.
No, I think she needs to be a bit brave just to step out the door to do that. So at least D6 for that.
Okay, so I think she's definitely either sly or devious. And if confidence is her next big one, or if willpower is her next big stat, maybe she's sly, confident, and healthy.
Yeah.
So that would be a D10, a D6, and a D8.
Yes.
So she is sly, she is healthy, and she is confident. So as a reporter, what sort of, and not just any reporter, but an investigative reporter, what kind of skills has Constance picked up?
I suppose the first one has to be talking her way past anything. So
Blagging.
blagging. Yes.
Which is different to Ms. Schreiber's skill of being charming and endearing and, oh, please, it's just a mountain, I just want to put my feet on it. This, we've got straight up blagging. So once our lovely reporter has blagged her way through to the coolest of scenes, what other skills does she employ?
I think she has to be quite observant.
I like that. She's observant, really good at spotting if there's danger heading towards her, or possibly if there's anything that might be missed by the regular eye. Okay.
Or like spotting that one person in the crowd who clearly saw what was going on. That kind of.
Perfect. Cool. And what kind of third skill might might Constance have? Michael, Caroline, have you got any cool ideas?
My brain's
Maybe
gone blank.
slightly detail orientated, so she can kind of notice things.
Or be very good at talking to people to get getting stories out of them, getting
like kind of very strong
emotional empathy.
not empathy.
What's that?
What's that? Oh,
It's like empathy,
but evil.
No, maybe manipulative.
Maybe she's good at building rapport with people really quickly.
Where you make the really strong rapport. You bond.
Oh my gosh,
I can't remember any words.
I feel like it's lockdown. I have not spoken to enough people to keep my brain actively like language, gooey words.
building rapport would do.
Rapport, people person. If people person covers it, right?
It's got building rapport. And what kind of trait are you taking away? So you could say that you're a people person. You could go for something more general. You could say, I'm really detail orientated. What other things might you say for your trait? Maybe something different from some of the skills that you've got.
Maybe very good at slipping out of awkward situations she's created.
I'm very good at getting away fast. Something I've taken away from this job is that I can get away fast.
And that goes with that
thing about her being
low willpower.
Her willpower wasn't that bad in the end.
But
I think it ties into her lower vigor. She's not going to stay around for the fallout. She gets the scoop and then she's out. Okay. Well, we have our 3 characters now, so we're going to go back over them. We've got Constance Sharp, who is a reporter.
Don't make me.
Oh, floor. What floor has she got? Sorry.
Probably quite
cold person, I guess.
Cold-hearted. Cutthroat.
Yeah.
There for the scoop. So we've got Constance, who is a reporter. She can get away fast and she's cold-hearted. She is sly, healthy, and confident. Next, we have got Millie Schreiber, who is an aspiring mountaineer. She never gives up, though she is a bit non-committal. She's foolish, fit, and heroic. And we have got Nana Grunswick, who is past her best years. She's a cook looking for adventure after the chicks have flown the nest. And she has a commanding presence, which is probably how she got her way onto this trip. Though she is partially deaf, which I think is also how she got onto this trip. She sort of decided she was getting on this boat, and anyone who told her that she wasn't, she just doesn't listen to them. So, we're going to move on to...
I just say I'm one of her slightly on my great aunt.
Ooh. I mean, I do love a good real-world reference for someone. So we're going to do a little bit of world building now between your characters and about this strange treasure, the Golden Pillar. So, how do you guys all know each other, and how did you end up in a crate together? Smuggling on this ship.
Well, it sounds like the reporter, she probably got the scoop early, didn't she, about what she probably heard about it first.
I probably headed here from somewhere far away, ready to go investigate. So, is anyone local to this place? Oh, Nana's local. Maybe I sort out Nana for a tip.
You
got the jungle food thing, right?
It might be that I was able to, if I was involved in helping provision the ship, maybe I was able to arrange for an empty crate somehow.
That's good.
I'm going to write that down. So maybe you're not actually in the crate, Nana. You're the ship's cook, and so you're able to ferret food to Miss Schreiber and Miss Sharp.
Yeah, every now and again, I'll just knock on the crate. You're right.
Yeah.
Shame if you're not. But,
I love that. Okay. So Nana Grunswick is the ship's cook. So maybe I'm thinking Miss Sharp, you were able to get to the ship, and maybe furnish what you needed equipment-wise to kind of find this golden pillar, because you are friends with Miss Schreiber, and you've used the last of the Schreiber money. Like it's an all or nothing trip.
Yeah, maybe Constance was doing like an article, or was supposed to be doing an article on Millie, but then they realised that she'd run out of money, so they're kind of like putting this together to try and get the invest the last little bit of money to try and get the big treasure.
Yeah. I've heard something really interesting if you want to take a little gamble on it.
And Millie would just be like, yeah, great.
Oh, you're too kind. I'm taking advantage of you.
Which I feel is exactly what your character would do.
I'm really too nice for this.
I always play the characters that are just a little bit dumb, but are just cute.
Sorry.
I feel like conflict always leads to good storytelling, though. Okay, so Miss Schreiber funded the trip and travelled to the base of the Black Road with Miss Sharp, where you hired local help of Nana Grunswick to kind of sneak your way onto the ship. So you've heard that it's a great treasure, but what do you think the Golden Pillar actually is?
Majestic Lost City?
Mm-hmm. These are some of the rumours that you guys have heard.
Some sort of monument, maybe?
Like an actual just totally a golden pillar is probably what
Wait, are you just here because you want to climb it?
First one, golden pillar.
But she's not really thought about how she's going to get it back. Yeah, great, gold.
Maybe you've got a camera and you're going to take a picture of yourself at the top of the Golden Pillar, and that's going to be like your claim to fame. You'll get into the Hall of Mountaineering, you'll get all this grant money. Like, in your head, it's a perfect, flawless plan.
I'll put you on my front page.
Yeah.
Great. See, there we go.
And people have tried to go up the Black Road to find the Golden Pillar before, but some have returned maimed, some have never returned at all. What kind of stories have you heard about dangers on the Black River?
Definitely crocodiles.
Mm-hmm.
Anacondas.
There's a kind of murderous dolphin cryptid werewolf human thing from the Amazon River.
Oh, I can't remember.
We're dolphin. Brilliant.
I love it. So maybe there's like a culture of were-dolphin people that keep crocodiles and anacondas as their sacred like beast pets, and they live on the river and they don't like people coming up the Black Road, so they've always like dealt with people.
I think that Millie could take an anaconda, to be honest.
So, Nana Grunswick, what kind of plants are local to the rainforest nearby? Because you can recognise plants. So what sort of plants have you seen?
Goodness only knows.
Well, there's goodness only knows.
That's a herb that can either kill you or cure you, but I don't know why.
Yeah. There's probably I don't know. Red ivy. So I didn't know I was going to have to come up with plants on the fly.
Think of any, like, look around you and think of, or like spot, like, the colour on your left and an item on your right.
I'm colourblind.
Perfect.
Bits of a grey.
I don't know. And on my right is a wall.
How does like blind man's creeper sound? That sounds very planty.
Yeah, go with that.
Blind man's creeper. So what does red ivy do?
That's definitely poisonous.
Poisonous.
It sounds poisonous.
Yeah. But great in tea.
Yeah, but
If you don't steep it long enough, it will kill you.
Yes. And if you steep it too long, it'll kill you as well.
Oh man.
Got to get that nice golden period, 70-degree water. It's very artisanal. And what do we think that blind man's creeper does?
I think that's very durable. Not durable. You know, it's very good for ropes and tying stuff up. It's a good rope go-to.
Perfect. And it grows everywhere because it just creeps everywhere, and it doesn't matter what it grows on, which is why it's called blind man, because it doesn't know, it doesn't care. It grows on rocks, it grows on trees, it grows over grass, it just grows everywhere. It's like a weed. Awesome. Well, this has been a nice little bit of fun of world building. So you've heard that the Golden Pillar is kept in a majestic lost city, that it seems to be an actual physical pillar. That's why it's called the Golden Pillar. That's what all the rumours and the ancient books say it is. And it's a monument to some ancient event or possibly a person, but apparently it's made of solid gold. Along the river, which is why you're hiding in a crate, there are dangers of crocodiles, anacondas, and were-dolphin cryptids who could pose threats to the boat. But safely nestled in your crate or in the ship's galley, you are safe from any kind of danger. And on your way up the river, you've spotted various plants like goodness only knows, which is both cure and killing plant. Red ivy, which is very poisonous, except when prepared correctly, in which case it's quite tasty. And blind man's creeper, which is a weed which you're keeping an eye out for because it's good for making ropes, which you might need for transferring this golden pillar back through the rainforest. So that is some fun little bit of world building we've done, and that's pretty much everything we've got on our agenda today. So, thank you very much for joining me, and I can't wait for our game on June the 6th. We're going to be playing live. You're going to be busting out of your secret crate and trying to find this golden pillar and get it back to pay off your debts, have a bit of adventure, and get a great news scoop. So,
Great.
Can't wait.
Yeah. I am Brian Tyrrell. I run Dungeons on a Dime, and it has been really great running games for you guys. Mike, why don't you remind everyone who you are?
I'm Mike. I'm Mike Brooks, author. I write for myself and for Games Workshop with tie-in fiction.
Perfect. Caroline, what kind of cool stuff are you doing?
So I am Caroline Logan. I write YA fantasy, and I'm also a biology teacher, so a nice spread of different things.
Nice diverse
And I'm really
portfolio.
excited about Dungeons on a Dime.
Sorry?
And I'm really excited about playing this RPG.
Oh, it's going to be really cool. And finally, Lizzy, what have you been up to?
Nothing because lockdown. Literally just listening to podcasts. The Cryptid Keeper podcast is where I found out about those were-dolphin cryptids.
Ooh. I'll give it a listen.
If you want to find more. I'm going to plug somebody else because I've got nothing except my own one book series, Drought series.
And you can see all of the cool works that we've been getting on with on that rolling set of adverts that is to my left. Right, it's over here. Awesome. Okay, well, I will catch you guys on the 6th. Have a lovely day.